in most organizations I've been in, we talk about culture, and we you see these things written on walls, you see them on monikers, you see them plastered in mission statements on walls, and I was very curious what they mean. And so over my experience over time, I've probably torn down more work culture signs than I've put up because it's normally too much. And when it's too much, it's a basket to catch all. So like if someone was going to come in and evaluate your company, you're saying all the right words. Well, the key to simplicity, or the key in actually teaching someone something and getting something that's ingrained in the way people operate and physically go out and execute without specific guidance on any given day in such an innovative and adaptive way that they're successful despite the leadership team. The leadership team has to provide one or two, maybe three ideas for them to think about so they know how to operate autonomously and be successful. Simon Sinek says, if you get the people right, you get the organization right. And if you get the organization of the people right, the business will come along and be successful because of the people. That have been the best organizations that I have seen. If you get the people right, and you get the environment right, and the culture supports that, then you get the business that you're looking for. And within that culture, if they understand what it is that you want them to do, they begin to trust and understand that you as the leader are willing to underwrite the risk if you give them the autonomy, because you give them what it is that you're hoping that they will do, and they try it. If they fail, you will cover them. You'll get back with them and say, okay, here's how I recommend you do it in the future. You make sure they know that you expected them to fail on occasion and that you underwrite that risk. Otherwise, they'll never believe you, they'll never trust you, and they'll never go out and push the limits so your company can be successful. Some of the work culture environments that I've seen that have been most effective is in light of that particular, whatever your culture is are you telling your people what they have to do? Are you telling them how to think? Or are you telling them what to think? And some people get confused with this saying. How to think is a broader generalization of within the scope of how I want you to think. This is how I want you to operate. That takes the gloves off. But understanding what the intent of that how to think is important for your employees. Don't tell them what to think. Teach them how to think. Now, how do you teach somebody how to think? What is an example of that? Well, I show a couple examples here in this outline. One of those things is doing routine things routinely. You find when I go out and assess companies and look at businesses and look for best practices, good ideas, and workarounds, I will find companies that spend a lot of time doing a routine thing like they've never done it before, over and over and over again. Yes, they know how to do it, but it should be routine. It should be systemized. It should be reduced to its lowest common denominator, so it almost happens instinctively or on its own. It shouldn't eat up a lot of time trying to remember how to do something again this week that we did last week that we can systemize. And so getting as many of those kinds of little ankle biters across your company, routine, systemized, turned into processes, turned into checklists, turned into things that happen automatically populated on your calendar, that it always happens on this day so everybody knows and you're not disrupting anything. Make everything you can in your company routine in such a way that it's done routinely and buys you one of those three critical resources that we all struggle with. We all struggle with people, we all struggle with money, but nobody talks about time. And time is where you get innovation. Time is where you get a positive work environment. Time is where you get people to step back, see the big picture, and make better decisions. So work on all three of those. The second one I'd offer to you is a bit more advanced for companies that have routine things being done routinely. And that is to challenge your workforce, especially your leadership, and say, here's how I want you to think. I don't want you to see a problem and solve that problem with one solution. I want you to look at a problem and figure out, can we solve more than one problem with one solution? Can we have multiplicity of effect? If we step back with the time we get from routine things done routinely, and we're able to look, get up on the balcony, look at the whole company and understand the flow, whether it's a factory floor or whether it's a cubicle farm, what are the things we can step back and look at? And if I do this muscle move, will it solve more than one problem? Will it take advantage of more than one opportunity? So we're not wasting resources and effort. Those are cultural ideas. Some of the other big ones we like to talk about are how to do less things better. That's an exercise of finding time, scraping away ambiguity within your organization. Do the things that are important and do them better. It's better to do one paper in college and get an A than 9 papers and get a C. And then organizational alignment with your priorities. Are you actually aligning your people to the things that are important? Or are there things that are happening that were important 5 years ago, but we've never stopped doing them? Which leads us to our next great course, which is, what are the big 3 questions that really, really cause companies to be stifled, and what causes them to be successful?